My name is John Fisher. I started at Aprilaire back in '99. Left in 2007 and just recently came back with Aprilaire. Got a huge background in heating and air conditioning. I used to be a service technician, working on heating and air conditioning equipment and what have you. So while I was gone for the 7 or 8 years at Aprilaire, worked for Savant, URC, NetStreams, and various other control companies. So got a pretty good background of both heating and air conditioning as well as the control industry for the residential controls. So with that being said, I'm gonna start the presentation. So Aprilaire, back in January, we announced 4 new Wi-Fi thermostats. 3 of them are shipping immediately, and the 4th one we look like is going to be shipping around the May time frame. So all 4 thermostats are going to be universal thermostats with IAQ Control. I'll go through what IAQ Control really means in the next couple of slides. They are all Wi-Fi communicating thermostats, so connect them up to the network, and they will connect, or they will communicate directly to the automation systems or to our app through a cloud server. So the communications, like I said, to the automation system is through the local area network. You're not actually communicating to our cloud and then communicating to the automation system. There's plenty of reasons why we chose to do that. First off, we realized that sometimes there's no internet connection to the houses. In addition to that, it also creates a lot of lag time. So when you set a heat set point or try to adjust the heating or cooling set point, you may see a 15-second, 20-second delay if you were to go through the cloud and then come back. So we chose not to go through the cloud. If you are using the Aprilaire cloud, or if you are using the Aprilaire app, you're obviously talking to our cloud server and what have you. So in that application, I've actually haven't noticed much of a delay. Through the app, I'll adjust the set point, and by the time I take my eyes off the app and I look at the thermostat is adjusted. So aggressively priced margin for system integrators. So rather than making the $25 or $30 you do off of a Nest thermostat, you're able to make $100 to couple $100 depending on which model you're selling. So and then when connected to the control system, again, we communicate directly to the thermostat. We're not using our cloud to do any data acquisitions. There's no number of time or limited number of times you can communicate to the thermostat, so on and so forth. Our thermostats will require a common wire. That common wire, obviously, to power up the Wi-Fi chipset. If you do not have a common wire, we have a device called an 8022. AllNet does stock them. That is available, and it's basically a set of diodes on one side and then a circuit board on the other side that kind of combine the heating and the cooling calls, because you're never making a call for heat or a call for cool at the same time. So as far as compatibility to control systems, we already have a driver written for Control 4, Elan, Compass Controls. Savant and Crestron, we actually had to work with independent programmers. So for Savant, the company that we chose was iLife Automation, and for Crestron, we are currently working with ControlWorks Consulting. Savant's already got their profile, the profile developed. It's actually been deployed in 3 or 4 different system integrators, and then the Crestron, we hope to have it completed by around March 1st. Claire Controls is going to be available mid-March. RTI, we're estimating they'll be done in spring. URC for their total control product line will be hopefully late February. and then Vantage, we're also estimating a springtime. If there's any control systems that are on here that are not on here that you guys are using, please let Bill know, and he'll give me the feedback as to which other control systems we need to work with. So, but I'm trying to focus on the most up-to-date brands and what have you. So now, what is IAQ Control? So IAQ stands for indoor air quality. So we are not only controlling the temperature, we're also controlling all aspects of the indoor air quality that we can control. So obviously temperature is one of them. Humidity, adding and removing. So obviously up north in Chicago and Minnesota, the various other areas will need to add humidity, and we do it actually a couple of different ways. We can actually do it manual humidity, which is just adjusting a set point. So at 35%, I'm going to always try to achieve it. There's some pros and cons of that, and then we've also got the ability to look at outside temperature and adjust humidity automatically based on outside temperature. And then obviously dehumidification control through by removing the humidity. That'll be done, down south or what have you. Ventilation, that's something that's become more and more important, and then air filtration. So all of our units are able to control at least two of these. Some of them will be able to control more, and we'll get into the features of each thermostat as we get into this presentation. So, temperature control. So obviously, our thermostats are universal. So the 8810 and the 8820 are going to be 2 heat and 2 cool in a conventional heat-cool system. The 8830 and 8830 and 8840 are actually going to provide you 3 heat and 3 cool, 3 stages of heating and 3 stages of cooling. In a heat pump application, we're doing 4 heat, 2 cool, and again, the 8830 and 8840 will be 4 heat, 3 cool, 3 stages of cooling. Dual fuel balance point, or with balance points. So in a heat pump application, the dual fuel will allow us to control the heat pump portion of the heat pump, but then also shut off the heat pump when the gas-fired furnace is coming on. When we use an outdoor temperature sensor, we can actually enable the balance points, which will lock out the compressor when the temperature drops below these predetermined set points. These set points are determined based on the installer settings, so they can be changed. Typically, they're somewhere between 35, 45 degrees, but it also depends on the type of refrigerant you're using, so on and so forth. So the nice thing is that our thermostat has it. There aren't a lot of other thermostats that are integrated with control systems. I know URC's thermostat does not have this. Neither does Savant or Claire Controls. Those thermostats they work with heat pumps, but they don't have the dual fuel capabilities. They don't have the balance point capabilities. So our thermostats are all 7-day programmable, 4 events per day. You do have a hold feature. You can also disable the scheduling to make them just a singles or a traditional thermostat with no scheduling, and then you can have the automation system do the scheduling if you choose to do that. We have adjustable stage rate, progressive recovery, in addition to heat blast. Now, heat blast is something that is unique to Aprilaire. If you ever get into a house and you feel really cold, you can hit, on our thermostats, you can hit the heat blast button, and that'll allow the temperature, that'll basically up the set point by anywhere from 3 to 5 degrees. This is something, again, adjustable in the installer settings, but it's for you to quickly get that heat, or for you to warm up when you're cold outside, or when you're cold coming in from outside or what have you, warm up, and then once we achieve that 3 or 5 degree set point, we'll just go back to to the regular set point. But it's a kind of a nice little feature to give you a quick warm up when you're cold. Humidity control. So now this is where we get into the adding humidity. We can control it two different ways, automatic or manual control. So the automatic, what you need is an outdoor temperature sensor connected to the thermostat, and what we'll do is we can actually look at the outside temperature and adjust the relative humidity based on the outside temperature. Now that's important specifically up north when if you were to just set a set point of, again, 35% relative humidity, that might be fine when it's 35, 40, 45 degrees out. However, when it drops to 10 or 15 degrees, you may see condensation on the windows. The automatic humidity control is something that will compensate for that. So when the temperature drops to the 5 or the 10 degrees, we will actually automatically adjust the relative humidity so that you don't have, or you have minimal amount of condensation on that on those windows. As I mentioned earlier, it does require an outdoor temperature sensor to be connected to the thermostat. The other way is manual control, which is where you adjust or where you set the set point of humidity and you just let it, and if there's condensation on the windows, regardless of what the outside temperature is. So most other thermostats that are on the market that integrate with control systems, they all use manual humidity control. So they're all just adjusting a set point and away you go. This automatic humidity control, it's nothing new to the humidifiers or to to the humidifiers or the humidifier controllers. Aprilaire has been doing automatic humidity control since the late 80s or early 80s. It's just that we finally decided to put that technology into our thermostat and have one thermostat that controls both temperature and relative humidity. Removing the humidity, obviously we can control either a dehumidifier, or we can actually dehumidify through overcooling. So if you don't have a dedicated dehumidifier in the area that you're trying to dehumidify, we can actually enable dehumidification through overcooling, and we'll dehumidify by up to 3 degrees below the cooling set point. So if you do have questions on how that works, again, I can take the questions and describe in detail on how that works. But essentially we're running the air conditioner longer, which will help dehumidify the area. So ventilation. So the EPA, which is Environmental Protection Agency, in 2014 actually made a statement that residential new construction houses can have up to 10 times worse air quality than the outside air. And this is why ventilation is becoming more and more popular. With the houses being constructed so tightly, it's great for energy efficiency. However, it's not letting those the moisture, the harmful particles, the contaminants, VOCs, volatile organic compounds. So you're breathing in that new house smell. You're breathing in, those are all chemicals you're breathing in, making maybe not a person that's gone for 8 or 10 hours a day, but if you're living in that house 24/7 and you don't leave the house, that you're making that person sick by breathing in all those chemicals. So with the ASHRAE, which is it's a standard in the heating and air conditioning world. They make the standards on how much of ventilation or fresh air you need to bring into the house based on the size of the house, the square footage, the number of bedrooms, and the number of occupancies. And Aprilaire does have a chart on how to set this thing up. However, if you are working with an HVAC contractor, they'll also know how to set these things up as well. So, but we do meet ASHRAE 62.2, which is a code for 2010, as well as the 2013 standards. Ventilation, again, all we're doing is bringing in fresh air, and if we've got all these other products that are an ERV and HRV, in addition to just a ventilation system, which will is basically a damper that will open and allow fresh air to come in based on certain times and stuff like that. We do also monitor the outdoor temperature, so we're not going to bring in we can enable when we bring in that that temperature. So if the indoor humidity is extremely high, we may not bring in more humid air, or if it's extremely high, or the temperature outside is extremely high or extremely low, we may also lock those things out as well. So, and these are all things that are adjustable inside of the thermostat. So we can set them up. And then lastly, we've got an event-based air filtration. Event-based air filtration obviously circulates the air inside of the house, eliminates the hot and cold spaces inside the house. It also increases air filtration. Obviously, once you're running the fan, that air is running across the air filter and filtering out more particulate and what have you. The events that we have are a clean event, which will run the fan for 3 hours. We have a allergies event, which is a 24-hour. And then if you put it into automatic mode, we're actually going to run the fan every 30 minutes or 30 minutes out of every hour. So, and this is in addition to any heating or cooling calls. So if there's a call for heat for 15 minutes, that does not count towards the automatic mode. You can also turn it on to 24/7, so it's running circulating 100% all day or 100% of the time as well. So let's get into the actual makes and models of the thermostat. The 8810, this is going to be our base thermostat. It's obviously Wi-Fi communications to the cloud or the automation system. Again, it's the universal thermostat. It has that event-based air filtration. This thermostat only supports an outdoor temperature sensor, so you can't have any flush mount temperature sensors. You can't put this in a mechanical room unless, of course, you want to control the temperature in the mechanical room. There's no humidity control. This would match up the closest to what Nest has. It's got a retail price of $275. So again, you could make some pretty decent money based on the dealer price that you guys have. The 8810 is also has 6 buttons. So this is our only thermostat that has the buttons. Everything else is going to be touchscreen capable. So, but again, our bare bones temperature only thermostat. Great for areas that you're going to be controlling just temperature. The 8820, this is where we step up into really offering a touch screen. There are no buttons on the side of it, so everything is interacting with the display itself. It provides, obviously, again, Wi-Fi communications to the cloud and the automation system, universal thermostat, so regardless of whether this is a heat pump or a heat cool, single-stage or multi-stage equipment, we can control that. Event-based air cleaning, again, something that we're going to be able to offer. And then this thermostat also has one additional indoor air quality relay, so we can control the logic depending on how you set it up as a humidifier control. And again, if you set it up for adding humidity, we can control it either manually or automatically. We can set this up to dehumidify. Actually, we could set this up to dehumidify through overcooling and still control a humidifier. If you do have a dedicated dehumidifier, we would use that IAQ relay to control the dehumidifier. And then the third option is to control the ventilation system. So we can select one of those 3 options, unless, of course, you're dehumidifying through overcooling, and then you can also select humidity control or ventilation. The base price on this is $375. And again, this does require a common wire, so does the 8810. If you do not have a minimum of 5 conductors and you're doing both heating and cooling, we do have the 8022, which is basically an add-a-wire device to allow you not to have to run a new wire. The 8830 and 8840 are actually two-part thermostats. So you're going to have the user interface, which looks like a thermostat. You're going to put that where you normally put a thermostat. You will be able to, we only need 3 wires to go from the user interface to the equipment control module. And the reason we did this is because the 8830 and the 8840 control not only the temperature, not only the event-based air filtration, we also control humidity, ventilation, and dehumidification. So there's a whole bunch of relays that are going to be wired up if you're using all of the parts and pieces. So, and I'll go through the wiring here in a second with the 8830. The 8840 is going to offer the same thing. It's just going to offer a color touch screen. So the 8830 and 40 both have the same equipment control module, so on and so forth. Again, the 8830 has a retail price of $475. So here's the two-part thermostat. Again, you've got the user interface portion, and you've got the equipment control module sitting down by the heating and air conditioning system. And all you need is the a 3-conductor wire from the thermostat or from the user interface portion to the equipment control module. So there's your 3 wires. We do say 18 to 24 gauge wire required, so Cat 5 would work just as well as a thermostat wire would work. You can also add, and this is true to the 8820 as well, you can add flush mount sensors if you want to remotely locate the thermostats in a mechanical room or in a closet or somewhere kind of out of sight. You can add a flush mount sensor. The one thing that if you are controlling relative humidity, that temperature sensor is just, or that flush mount sensor is just temperature, and the RH would be still measured where that thermostat or that user interface is located. So just keep that in mind if you are trying to use this for humidity control. We do have a surface mount temperature and relative humidity sensor. It's about the size of a pack of cards or a deck of cards, and it requires 4 wires from that temperature humidity sensor to the actual thermostat. So if you do want to control temperature and humidity but don't want the thermostat located in the area it's controlling, we can use the 8082 temperature and relative humidity sensor. Excuse me. The equipment control module, as I mentioned earlier, it's got a whole bunch of other relays built into it. So the differences for temperature control compared to the 8810 and the 8820 is this offers 3 stages of heating and cooling, or 4 stages of heating, and actually it should show 3 stages of cooling in a heat pump application. This thermostat does have heat blast, as does the other 2, and we can also dehumidify through overcooling by up to 3 degrees, and again, that's part of the dehumidification portion of it. So here are different wiring this is for the IAQ features. So you've got the humidifier. These are all just dry contacts. So the humidifier, most humidifiers don't come with a transformer, so oftentimes you'll need to have a transformer supplied to control the humidifier. The dehumidifiers, they do have power there, so we're just a dry contact closure. And then ventilation and EAC, oftentimes you'll need a transformer, but I would recommend working with your HVAC contractor when it comes to the control of this stuff, so that they can identify whether they need a transformer or not. Am I doing that good of a job, or have I put everybody to sleep so far? I haven't seen any questions come through.
John, there's been a few questions. I figured we can address them at the end.
Okay.
Some of them might get into some detail.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill. The 8840, as I mentioned, is got the same feature set as the 8830. However, it comes with a nice color touch screen. That's a 7-inch touch screen. Again, it's a 3-conductor wire from the touch screen or the user interface back to the equipment control module. Somehow we slipped in a photo of our app as well, so that's what the application will look like on your phone. The app, if you just do a search either in Google or the Apple App Store, just do a search for Aprilaire. It's our only app that we have available. It shouldn't be too difficult to find. Also, Aprilaire has an E at the end of it. If you haven't noticed that, you will need the E at the end. So, anyway, this 8840 will retail at $625, and it's scheduled to ship in May. As of, I was just in a meeting this morning, or I'm sorry, yesterday, and it seems to appear that we're still on track for a May delivery. I don't know if that's May 1st or May 31st, but we are on track, so for a May deliverable. So. Connecting, okay, so this is how your thermostat will actually connect to the network. Obviously, you're going to wire up the heating and air conditioning, the R, the W, the Y, the G, the common wire, and then what you'll need to do is you'll need to download that Aprilaire Wi-Fi thermostat application. You don't need to create a login if you're just connecting the thermostat to the network and then controlling it through the other control system. One thing that I need to point out is just power up one thermostat at a time and then go through the process. Each of our thermostats will broadcast an SSID. It'll read Aprilaire 88, 10, 20, 30, or 40, depending on the model you have, and then there will be 4 digits behind it, which will be the last 4 digits of the MAC address. So you're going to want to put your you're going to connect your mobile device, whether it be your tablet or your phone, to that network. Then you're going to want to go to the Aprilaire app, and I've got some screenshots here. So here's, power up one thermostat at a time, connect your mobile device to that, in this case, Aprilaire 8620W. That's actually our non-automated thermostat. We do have a version of non-automation thermostats as well, but here's a screenshot of Aprilaire 8620W, ... which those extra dots are going to be your MAC address. Then you're going to go to the app and you're going to scan the network scan your phone is going to scan for networks. It'll pop up a list of all the networks available, and you click on the thermostat, or click on the network you want the thermostat connected to, and then you'll be able to enter your password on that next screen for that. If you want to, you can also assign it a static IP address through the application as well. So that's pretty simple on how to you use the app. The app will walk you right through how to connect up a thermostat, to put it on the network and what have you. So, with that, I'm pretty much done. Bill, I told you it was going to be about a half an hour, and I'm at 32. So.
Great. No, that's great. So we have quite a few questions here. So okay. I'm just going to back up and go through them. If just in case some guys want to drop off the line, if they have something else going on, they want to stick around for the Q&A portion. AllNet is offering up we have a 5% deal going through the end of March on the new Aprilaire line of T-Stats, but also for all you guys that are attending the training today, if anybody would like to take advantage and purchase one for themselves, we're going to do an additional 5% off for all the attendees. So if you have, so for a total 10% off. So if anybody on here wants to take advantage of a purchase or has a job coming, it's a good time to do so, and we'll give you 10% off. Send me those orders directly. I think everybody on here probably has my email address. It's bill.zydik@allnetdistributing.com, or it's bill.zydik@tandemmarketinginc.com. So send me an email to your address, and I'll take care of it. So So with that, let's back up and go to the question. And this came from Paul G. If there's an Aprilaire humidistat on the cold air return already, can it be used, or is it only on new T-stats?
So if there's an Aprilaire humidistat and you're using the 88, 20, 30, or 40, you could eliminate the Aprilaire controller that's on the return. If you choose not to, our thermostat becomes a monitoring humidity value only, so the end user can still see what the value of humidity is in the location where that thermostat is located. Keep in mind that you're going to, since the standalone humidistat is in the return air ductwork, it's going to control based off of that relative humidity, which may be a better average versus in the house, or where the thermostat is located. But keep in mind that it's only grabbing that humidity value when there's air circulation going across. So it's my belief, or it's our belief, that you want to be comfortable, or you want your humidity control to be comfortable where you're located rather than down in the ductwork.
Great. Jerry Ackerman asks, will control an air exchanger vane? I'm going to unmute Jerry just in case we need some clarification. You're unmuted, so I don't know if I presented that.
Yeah,
correctly.
I was curious whether or not you can control like a Vanny air exchanger.
We should be able to. Most of those have independent controls, and it's just a relay of some sort, whether it's a time-based relay, and that's what we would be, as well as be able to control it based on some of the other calculations of ASHRAE and stuff like that. But again, I'm going to say work with your HVAC contractor. Tell them that, hey, I've got this Aprilaire controller that'll allow us to control that all in one unit, rather than having to go downstairs to the basement or up in the mechanical room to manually adjust a clock or humidity or what have you. So we absolutely should be able to control it. But again, I'm gonna refer you back to the HVAC contractor to work with them.
Okay.
And again, we've got tech support guys. I didn't mention this, but our tech support guys take tons and tons of questions on how do we control. We don't make heating and air conditioning systems. We do make humidifiers and air cleaners, but we do realize that oftentimes our controllers will not necessarily control an Aprilaire humidifier. It might control a Honeywell or something else. So and we can dig through that as well. So our tech support department is more than happy to dive through and say, okay, yeah, you just need to connect these two wires to those two terminals, and away you go. So.
Okay, Steve Young, I'm going to unmute him as well. Can I use an existing SLID sensor and just adjust the thermostat? And how many remote sensors thermostat?
Okay, he said slits. That goes back to Enerzone days, and luckily I was around when Enerzone was around, so no, you can't use the slits and the slots, and that would be SLIDT and SLODTs, but we do have 8081s and 8082s that we've been, since the 8800's been around, we've been shipping the 8081s and 8082s. You can absolutely use the 8081 and 8082 as the support modules, and the same rules go. You can do up to 4 of those support modules with a total of 8 flush mount sensors connected to it, unless you want. In addition to that, it does have a lug for outdoor temperature to be connected straight to the thermostat. So you can do 8 flush mount sensors to take an average, and 1 outdoor temperature sensor that connects directly to the thermostat. Lots of info really quickly, but I'm sorry. Hopefully that all made sense to you.
Okay. Steve, that answer the question? Okay, I'll put him back on mute and move on. This is coming from Nick Boone. How flush does the 8840 mount to the wall?
Okay, so it's not truly a flush mount sensor. It's designed to stick off the wall about a 1/16 of an inch, and that way we can actually
He's talking about the 8840, the thermostat.
Oh, the 8840. It is a surface mount display, so it's going to be. Boy, it's been a while since I've seen that. It's probably going to be about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch off the wall.
Okay. Next is from Steve Young again. Also, do any support a relay to shut off the plant from high water sensor?
We do not have a high temperature or a cutoff. So this would be more of a radiant heat type application, and most boilers are going to come with a high temperature cutoff, and same thing with the furnaces. They're going to, if the plenums get too hot, they're going to turn off the heating source and actually just run the fan or run the pumps. So those are typically independent controls built into the heating and air conditioning systems or the boilers.
This comes from Jerry. Can you change the SSID or use the home SSID? Yeah, the ad hoc network is there for setup, and once they're joined to the home's SSID from the Wi-Fi network, then that broadcasted SSID would disappear.
That's correct. And if for some reason you change out the network, you have to go into the thermostat and tell them to forget that network or reset the network and start all over again using that same process.
And then another question from Jerry. I assume you have RTI programming, just to give us an update on the driver for RTI.
Yeah, RTI, they told me, let's go all the way back up to the front. They told me it'll be sometime in spring, which, not trying to put RTI down, but I'm not sure which spring they actually mean. So I'm hoping it'll be this spring.
So it looks like that concludes all the questions. So if there's anything else, guys, we can hang out on the line here. But if not, that'll conclude the session. This will be recorded, or it was recorded, and I will be posting it up to our YouTube channel. I just want to encourage you guys that if you can please, if you see value in these presentations that we're doing, they really do take a lot of time to coordinate, put together, and I know that you get multiple emails from me reminding you, but it's amazing on how many people, the difference of attendance we get when we send out the reminder the morning of. So please forgive the additional emails, but I hope you see enough value in it that it's not a nuisance. And also, I would really encourage you guys to, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every week there's new content going up on there. We're really trying to bring you guys the best in education. And again, we appreciate your time. It looks like there's one other question that might come up here. So with a line control system, there's a couple questions. With a line control system in mind, can the 8820 be used for heat only as in a garage?
Yeah, you can set our thermostats up to just control heating. I'm not sure what the Elan user interface will look like if they take away the cooling and the humidity set points and stuff like that. But absolutely, our thermostat, as long as you've got a common wire to power up that thermostat, we absolutely can control just a heating-only system.
Yeah, and as the Elan rep, I can tell you that in the programming interface, you'll just have a heating portion, not cooling, so it won't even show up on the Elan interface.
Perfect.
And does the thermostat work with the zone system model 6504?
It does not work with the 6504, unfortunately. We do have a model number 6404. That will work with the traditional RWYG type zone control or thermostats. Unfortunately, the 6504 It was a proprietary thing that Aprilaire came out with a couple years ago. Again, one of the meetings that I sat through, that's probably going to get discontinued in 2016, maybe 2017. We'll still continue to support it, but if you are using a 6504, that zone panel will have to be replaced if you want to move to these thermostats.
It looks like that is all the questions. So, John, I just want to thank you again, wealth of knowledge, and certainly an expert in the category. So we really appreciate you taking the time to do this today. And I just want to again thank the audience for attending as well. One lucky participant will win a thermostat, and I'll be doing the drawing here after the webinar, and we'll get that information out to the lucky winner. So. Again, thanks everybody for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.
Thank you.